What up, Internet? What's going on? What are you doing? Oh, the concrete pour, the concrete pour. All right. As you guys can see from the video, we go from there to there. How do we get from here to there? From hole in the floor to filled in. Well, you got to be working till the cows come home and go to sleep, and then it's the middle of the night. That's how you do it. That's how you get it done. All right, after a long night and let's call it a generous 4 hours of sleep, we are up and recording and editing and blah blah bloobity bloop, getting it done. What day is today? Today is Saturday. Oh, fantastic, guys. Well, what did I do last night? So last night, I pulled the old form boards that were on the side there, at the bottom of the wall. And you can see we have a large gap underneath because of the floating slab that's underneath. And I put both types of spray foam I used in here so you all don't think I'm like doing a commercial for Great Foam or Loctite or any other kind of spray foam, because I ain't. But this big gap here is best suited for filling up with spray foam. Is just the best thing I can do, because all we're basically looking for is to stop any kind of wind, if that makes sense. Moving air. Moving air is the enemy when insulating, and cold air reaching warm air. That's the big issue. Now you can see that the walls are insulated. I'm like pushing the pink insulation out of the way, and this will be our kind of final barrier before the trim goes in. And this will help keep any kind of cool air coming up from that bottom plate of wood that is sitting on top of the concrete slab. The reason for that, condensation. Condensation is going to be a big issue if you have warm air reaching cold air, like your roof. If your roof isn't insulated, it's going to get moist. Everybody hates the word moist. I love using it because everyone hates it. But that moisture will rot whatever you have on the work that you've done, will fall apart and into a moldy, rotten mess. So that's what we're avoiding, and you can see it is kind of a messy job. Don't touch it. Get it on your hands. Warning, don't get it on your eyes. That spray foam, that is. Typically, I have my partner Victoria do the spray foam stuff because it's pretty fun, but we had a slight spray foam incident earlier this week. So I ended up doing it myself in the medium noche, middle of the night. But as you can see in the kind of the background of the video there, I'm actually sort of watching the video the same time you guys do. In the background of the video, it kind of sprays, or it expands and kind of comes out of the joints and stuff back there. Not a big deal. Don't touch it when it's wet. Wait till tomorrow when it's dry, and you can just sand the crap out of it. You can turn it into whatever shape that you want it to do, and it's a dusty mess. Wear a mask or something. I mean, most of you are probably pretty much smart enough to know not to just inhale dust, right? Okay, cool. So the concrete here, this concrete is not a how-to video. So anybody out there wanting to do some kind of concrete pour like this, there's about 1 million YouTube videos that will explain what you might want to do in your situation, okay? In my situation, I'm having to do multiple pours. I don't have the equipment to do one gigantic pour. So I'm having to kind of go about this in a slightly different manner than necessarily just knocking in some big form boards into here and having a truck come out and just dump one whole big pour at a time. So the original pour that I did brought the level up in that corner. That corner was the big issue. Now I have this center area to kind of smooth out a little bit. And, as we talked about before, this isn't necessarily this isn't how you would do a finished floor necessarily. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had a large budget on your hands, if you had a large budget, you might be able to, get a mixer and stuff and do a big pour and bring this whole floor up to level with the earth. But this being an old building that has settled and has old slab and all that kind of stuff, we're just going for uniformity to the floor. So there still is a bit of a drop. It's not level with the earth, if that makes sense. It's not earth level. It does have a bit of a drop so that drainage is actually headed towards that wall that I was putting the spray foam in, and that's the wall that has the door in it. And now with this last pour in, there's real walkability, if that makes sense. So you can walk around the room and not go like, why am I in a weird hole now? And all of the edges of the building have been brought up a couple of inches on the side that was super low, so I can actually run a tank on the width of the room and not have like 3-inch shims underneath one side of the stand, which is not good when you have a top heavy weight, which is the aquariums that will be sitting on the stands. You don't want to have that big top heavy weight with a crazy shim on the end of it, especially if there's any kind of earthquake or any kind of movement or anything like that. Have a good liability for it to tip, and that is a big time disaster that I don't ever want to deal with. Speaking of big time disasters, those of you who know, all my shrimp died, and a lot of my plants are in complete and utter disarray right now and mess. I've got them in buckets, and I got things going on and that kind of stuff. And so this weekend is the big push to get the trim in and get the last of the insulation done and get the door on. And so today I'll be doing the trim and the insulation and stuff. I'll be getting that done and moving right along. All my shrimp died, and I've had some people reach out to me, and it's fantastic. Hey, thanks, guys. But the issue is that most everybody that's reached out to me is just like, yeah, you could buy from my store. It's like, yeah, cool, man. I didn't, I hope I would be able to buy from your store regardless of my situation, right? But because they died doesn't mean I'm like $2,000 richer. So I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm gonna do here. I'm probably gonna sell one of my kidneys or something like that. I'll probably go around that lines. I figured I might sell one of my hands, but both of my hands are completely foobarred, so I don't think anybody would want to buy either of one of those. So I'm gonna sort it out. We're gonna figure out what to do. I've got a couple of big projects coming up, so hopefully that's gonna be able to fund whatever I'm doing. And realistically right now I'm pretty concerned about all my plants and stuff and how that has worked out. And I really hope that none of my tanks are broken. If any of my tanks are broken or anything's fucked up with those, I'm gonna be grinding my teeth, if you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna be grinding my teeth, and there'll probably be some colorful language, but let's just hope that everything's okay. As you can see me doing the concrete here, it's a real process. It's just a real process to get this laid down. You guys see me adding weird stuff to the mix there while I'm mixing. A lot of that is acrylic bonding compound, which is important to add if you're adding cement on top of cement. Earlier in the week, I used some TSP to etch the old concrete underneath just to help with adhesion. And, I went out this morning to wet it down again and noticed a couple of bubble pops and stuff like that. And that just really is attributed to the fact that I was pretty tired already when I was doing this. I already worked a 12-hour day. building somebody's house, and you know, I was pretty tired, so there will be a couple of bubble pops, which make me mad, but otherwise, you can walk on them. It's not a big deal. It doesn't make it unlevel or anything. It's actually just kind of a visual thing. But now that we have the 3 pours in here, we're probably not going to actually paint the floor. We're actually going to probably be able to save that step. Vicky and I talked about it this morning, and she actually kind of really just likes the character of the weird concrete, and I have to agree with her. We'll actually paint the rest of the shop, though, just for cleanability's sake. The rest of the shop has a lot of cracks and stuff in the floor, and I don't really want to try to be shop vac and sawdust and stuff out of those cracks and everything. So we'll probably get the fish room set up and all that kind of stuff, and then you know, paint the rest of the floor and the shop as we get all the shelves and all that kind of stuff put in, so that we can clear up the floor and all that. And it'll be much easier to clean the floor and sweep everything, just, you know, if I recoat the floor with some of that, well, I'm just going to call it floor coat, because I don't even know what company makes it. I think Rust-Oleum makes it. Yep, Rust-Oleum. Rust-Oleum makes this nice concrete coat that I generally is the one that I use. You see me spraying a little bit of water on my finish coat here. This is bedding and topping mix that I'm using here at the end, which is it's basically just straight up sand mix concrete. Basically all the aggregate, the rock is removed, so able to get that that top layer, and then the lower layer I used is 5,000 psi. If anybody's really wondering what I was using, and I'll probably get some commentary that I did this wrong, and you know, I get it. You know, I probably screwed something up, but whatever. It's just got to get done at this point, and yeah, it's concrete. It'll be fine. It won't be a big deal. I know it'll be adhered, and we'll get adhesion. But you see that big long board there? That's how I'm coming up with whether I'm level or off, and need to fill in, you know, add in more material here or there, the other thing. So it's not, like I said, it's not laser straight. It's actually got a drop to it, but you can actually walk on it now, not like be tripping like you're on the surface of Mars. So, sorry, my nose is all clogged up today. I sound like, I don't know, I sound like I got a cold or something. I don't. I'm just tired. But yeah, that's what I'm using that board for, is to fill everything in, and then smoothing out the edges and all this stuff, and using an old grandpa trick here on the edges to wet with a little water, and actually use my fingers. I actually just use my hand to add in and smooth out the all of the edges with just that really wet concrete. And obviously on the video, I'm not doing it on the video. I don't know. Maybe I didn't get that on video. But either way, I'm coming up on the end of the video here, and I think there's only like a minute of video left. But if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you're mad at me, go ahead and dislike. A lot of haters out there recently. People think I'm bad-mouthing people. I ain't, man. I'm just having a conversation. It's all good. But if you're not subscribed, subscribe. It's free. Or don't. I mean, you know, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. If you want to support this channel, go to darkstararts.com and click on the Amazon banner, and you're able to just buy the stuff that you were going to regularly buy, and it gives us a little bit of the advertising kickback. Or don't do that. Whatever, man. It's your life. Do whatever it is that you got to do and get her done. I'm pretty stoked that we're hopefully going to move tanks in tomorrow if I can hammer this all out. Well, that's it. Later.